to the Kyber Collective. I'm one of your three hosts, Annie, and I'm joined by Sig.
Hello.
And Flowers.
What's up?
And today we're going to tackle Obi-Wan Episode 4.
Yeah!
Yay!
So, what were you guys' first impression? What was the general vibe? How did you feel about this one?
Oh my god, this is amazing. It's just kind of going in my head a lot. For a lot of different reasons. I really liked it.
You guys both liked it?
I did. It felt like a Rebels episode in a lot of ways to me. Like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there were like a lot of sort of Jedi Fallen Order image.
A lot of it. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of it like kind of was like a visual callback to that.
Yeah.
It was a lot less intense than the previous episode emotionally, but I think that I needed that because I definitely think that I needed a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, but I liked it. I loved Leia already, but my love for Leia has solidified to a point where I will literally fist fight people if they say a mean thing about her. Like I am Stan level. She's the best. She's so cool. Her little fight with Reva about whether or not she was giving up information, and the way that like they did that sort of fake out where she was like, okay, I'll tell you everything you want to know. But obviously I can talk to my dad, right? Because we're friends. And I was like, you're just the best child that has ever lived. You're so cool.
She's so cool. She's so clever. She had that line of like, what is this, a staring contest?
I know.
I love that so much.
She was so cool. And then obviously seeing her like reunited with Obi-Wan was really sweet. I've seen a lot of people kind of losing their minds over the hand holding. I don't think that's where I lost my mind. I lost my mind during the interrogation sequence.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was great. She was a good part.
Yeah.
Let's jump into this like first bit, the stuff that we love. As Jedi, we're encouraged to love. So let's talk about the things that we love.
Anytime you quote Anakin, it's just a good day. This is going to be a great episode.
And so we got Leia. Yeah. When she said, because we're all on the same side, right?
Yeah.
I was like, this is the smartest kid in the galaxy.
So smart. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she's incredibly smart, and like we've talked so much about how like she's incredibly insightful as well. I think that she probably had a pretty good read on Reva.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's brilliant. I love the way that they're writing her character. I'm a huge fan of what they're doing with Leia in the.
And it's not overbearing, and it's very, very subtle, very poised in how they're portraying her. I think they did a lot of justice to Leia's character, Leia's adult character. I can absolutely see the transition of, this child who will one day be, the Leia Organa that we were introduced to in A New Hope and the other movies. It's, I think, they took a lot of good care of this character. And I love how, quick on her feet she is. She's very determined. She is very loyal.
Extremely, yeah.
She was very cool under pressure. I think she, the one of the tactics Reva was using was telling her that Obi-Wan was dead, and she kind of just kept it together. She just stuck to her guns. That's just remarkable to me.
Yeah.
She's got all the best parts of Padme and Anakin, and also Bail, and I'm assuming Brea.
Yeah.
I don't know a ton about Brea, but
yeah.
How did you guys feel about Tala? I love Tala this episode.
She's someone I would want on my side in a pinch. Like if I'm going through something and she can like engineer her way through it for me. And like she was cool under pressure. She had a plan. She put people in her place to assert authority, like she did when she entered the fortress.
Yeah.
She killed that one guy who was asking her like, what is she doing at that station? She's like, I just had a minor distraction and we're just going to keep going.
Yeah. She seems like the most capable person in the galaxy.
Oh, yeah.
Extremely capable.
The craziest bit for me is when Obi-Wan was like, I need a distraction. And she was like, cool. I'm going to go lie to Reva, to her face. I'm going to stand in a room and say that, of course I'm a spy. I'm a double spy. I'm the spyiest spy you've ever seen. And I was like, that is just the biggest, iron ovaries I have ever seen. Like, that was the ballsiest move you could possibly have made in that situation. Yeah. And I like that she's very clearly a character who, like, has a really strong moral compass. and is not afraid of putting herself in the line of fire. The way from the moment she volunteered to go with Obi-Wan because she had the access codes, not knowing whether or not her cover was blown, the whole way through, and culminating with that moment she puts herself in the room right in front of Reva and lies to her. Like,
she's incredible.
So cool. Yeah,
I was in awe.
Yeah,
I was really worried in this episode because given how things tend to play out in scenes like this and in shows or anything, she's someone who I feel like should have died this episode. Like, I was almost certain that she was going to be dead, and I was not happy about it because I was like, please, please, please don't let her die yet. Like, I think she's amazing. Like, I know she'll be dead eventually some point in her life, but I don't want to see that happen yet. I think she's incredible, and she could do so much more. And you know, she was taking so many risks, which is why I was worried. It's a huge risk to go.
A lot of risks.
Yeah. And she got through it, and I was very pleased that she was alive by the end of it. Poor Wade, though. Didn't know yet. Didn't know him, but he did some good work.
I only learned his name when he died.
Right, yeah. Poor Wade, we barely knew you.
Yeah.
He seemed an all right man. Love Tala. Also love Tala basically telling Obi-Wan to get his shit together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that. And then Obi-Wan got his shit together, which I also really loved. I was like, listen, I understand why you are the way you are right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you do need to get your shit together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For the galaxy and for this fucking fandom.
Mm-hmm.
We need you. Help us, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
You're our only hope.
You're our only hope.
Yeah.
We're counting on you.
Yeah.
The joy I felt when the lightsaber came out. I know there was lightsaber stuff in the last episode.
Yeah.
However, the hallway scenes of him deflecting the blaster bolts,
oh my god, I was so happy.
in the dark takedowns of the two stormtroopers in the room with Leia.
Yeah.
And then the whole use of the lightsaber throughout. I was so happy to see it back because he has been a very uncivilized blaster man for a while now, and I'm not having it. Like, I cheered the return of the lightsaber. It was so nice.
Yeah.
And the fancy footwork. Don't forget, he was falling back into his little habits. He was getting back into his training, kind of.
Yeah, he did like a kind of half-assed little Sorsu pose at one point.
He did.
He killed a dude, and then he like struck a pose, and I was like, yeah, walk, fashion baby.
I was proud of him.
Yeah,
Sorsu's
deflecting.
Mm-hmm.
No one deflects a blaster shot like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
No.
And I feel like this is his awesome acting, but he's still getting back into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But he's doing such a good job.
Yeah. It's not as fluid. It is like an out of practice, but it's still in there, and it's nice to see him kind of emerging back out as the Obi-Wan that we deserve.
Yeah. It's very satisfying seeing that muscle memory starting to slowly poke out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the three of them together in the end there, like with the trench coat.
Mm-hmm.
I love that, by the way.
Yeah, the disaster trio, the new one. It reminded me of, in Clone Wars with Anakin and Obi-Wan and Dooku tied together.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was so stupid, but like Star Wars appropriate.
Because
stupid.
It was so stupid.
Yeah.
It's that special Star Wars stupid that is so delightful.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was like, this is it. This is my franchise.
Yeah. I just love a good rescue episode. This is a really good rescue episode. Like, they had to team up and do a little bit of trickery on this end, and he had to do a little trickery on his other end, and he tried using the Force to distract the stormtroopers, and they bought it because they're dumb. Like, it had all of the they had all of the elements of things that I so enjoy, and like you said, none of the pressure, all of the pleasure in this.
Also, the parallels to each other in the back to tank, I really like that one too.
Yeah, that was incredible.
I mean, I'm guessing that this is how Anakin spends a ton of his time in this thing, in this like sensory deprivation tank, basically.
He's so angry. He's such an angry little like squid inside there.
Yeah.
I liked that it wasn't clear whether it was like Obi-Wan's nightmare or Anakin's like that thing that serial killers do when they like relive their crimes. Like, it's just like, because you were seeing the flashbacks interspersed between the two of them, and it wasn't clear whether it was like Anakin who was like, yeah, I definitely dragged him through the fire, or Obi-Wan who was like, everything has gone completely to shit. And I kind of liked, I mean, I couldn't tell whether maybe they were actually like sharing the same, but like it was cool. It was really cool.
Yeah. I've watched that part twice now, and I like both sides of it. I like the interpretation that they're both reliving it and just being like you said. I also like the idea that they're sharing it, and like what a great visual representation that was in either direction you go with how you interpret it. I love that.
There's that one shot as well of Obi-Wan's burnt arm that morphs into Anakin's burnt arm with the amputation at the end. Yeah. It's really cool.
So cool.
Creepy, but cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Anakin is definitely... He's basically a torso now.
He is. He's just a torso. He's like a little sad, broken action figure. I shouldn't find this funny, but like...
It's specific to Vader. This is
It's real.
This really angry guy in a soup of rage.
Yeah, rage soup. I like remember in Boba Fett, the book of Boba Fett, like the guy would be in the tank all the time and he would have these visions. I wonder if like Obi-Wan had to get out of there because he kept, thinking too much or
Yeah.
And I was fine with him wanting to get out because we don't need more time in the tank, really. We've already had enough time with Boba Fett.
Yeah.
But
we didn't have to endure like the fighting in your underwear outside a Bacta tank situation, which was really...
No. But
really
remember our Victorian sensibilities?
Yeah.
I wasn't prepared to see like Obi-Wan in a Bacta
I wasn't
tank.
either. I was like, let's have a sliver of a neck, maybe a wrist this time going around, and whoa, we saw the whole Obi-Wan. Well, not the whole, but I was like, whoa, I was not expecting this.
Yeah,
and we needed our fans and our parasols and like just.
But it was so indecent.
Which is why he got out of there so quickly.
Yeah.
He knew he was being indecent.
They should have given him like a one of those wetsuits with like the turtlenecks.
I know. One of the promo shots for Obi-Wan was like him in the sleepwear when he wakes up in the cave and like you can see his clavicles, and I was like, this is too much. Like we're not ready for this.
Yeah. His ankles too. Is very
and his
risque.
ankles. Very risque for Obi-Wan, for Mr. Kenobes.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen too much.
But I'll take it.
Yeah, most of it now. Like, we're all grown up now.
Yeah.
Another thing that was really great for me was Vader just like waltzing in there at the end. He had this great presence about him. You could tell he was the boss.
He was pissed.
Yeah. He was real mad.
And he was making good on what he told her.
Yes, I liked how disposable she was, which is a very weird sentence. But like, I like the fact that it's not like Vader plays favorites. It's like Vader wants to get stuff done, and if you can do it for him, that's great. And if you can't do it for him, you're dead.
Yeah.
Yep. Pretty much.
That's pretty much how he is with all of his staff.
Yeah. I liked the tracker idea because it that line from A New Hope when Leia's like, they let us go, it was too easy, and everyone else is like, are you crazy? Leia's like, no, you don't understand. I have broken out from Vader's personal prison and they put a tracker on me and we thought we definitely got away, but that was them letting us go. Like, she knows.
She knew.
She's been there.
She knew. She lived through this, and I love the little tie-ins they're doing with this show because it's not like overpowering anything. It's not overwhelming. It's just it makes things make sense.
Everything about it. I think one of my favorite things about this in a way is how much it's enriched the relationship between Leia and Obi-Wan, and like knowing that Leia names her son Ben, I'm like, actually now I have an emotional investment in that name and that relationship, and that's really enriched that for me, because I've always struggled with feeling like the sequels are very unconnected to the rest of it. So it's like, it's a really nice development just of that relationship alone that's really kind of enriched the stuff that we already have.
I totally agree, because I like you, I never really felt that connection of why she would, and now I see why she would name her child after Ben. it's a good move that they did with this show.
Yeah, like I think I always connected it more with Han, that Han like named him Ben
Yeah.
more than Leia, but now I yeah, definitely see it. Because Han spent more time with him in the movies, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Although it wasn't, I mean,
It wasn't a ton of time, yeah.
Yeah, it was never a ton of
yeah.
time, and I never thought they were exactly close.
Yeah. I mean, he did get them off the Death Star, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if someone dies for you, that does leave an impression. Although in hindsight now, Leia's not very caught up about his death. Like she's just like she takes that on the chin. She's like, "Oh, the guy who rescued me when I was a child, who means so much to me, has just died." Anyway, hi, Mon Mothma.
To be fair, she seems really good at dealing with tragedy. Like her
Yeah.
people died, and she had like about 3 seconds to emote about it, and then she moved on with her life and had to
This
get stuff done.
is extremely true. I'd forgotten that her
Yeah.
parents died the same day.
Yeah.
Yeah, her whole planet. I've always thought that she was just like fine right
Yeah.
after that. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, damn girl.
Yeah, because in the reverse, you see Luke getting consoled about Obi-Wan. She's consoling him, and
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
it tells me enough that she's able to deal with things much quicker, or because she
Yeah.
has to deal with it much quicker.
I mean, to be honest, if I've never been in a situation where I've experienced that level of destruction, but it would be almost incomprehensible. I can almost see like being completely unable to react to it, because how do you like
How do you process it?
how
Yeah.
do you process something that huge? So you just
Yeah.
keep going until it finally hits you at some point.
Yeah. I texted this to you guys last night, but I was watching A New Hope, and it just made this show has made me see or experience A New Hope in a different way, and it's
Yeah.
made it a little brighter. And I love this movie so much, and it's the fact that this show, that the Kenobi show, can make me just see it like I'm seeing it for the first time with a new perspective is so cool.
That is very cool, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's jump into the things that we didn't like so much in a segment called Kyberious Inquisitorius. We're gonna be the Inquisitors now.
Kyberious, Inquisitorius, brilliant.
Kyberious Inquisitorius. I'm starting to really hate Riva. Like, I'm starting to really not enjoy her.
I can say that I think she's written in a purpose that I don't know yet.
Yeah.
I mean, because I can't really say I like her. There's nothing likable about her. And I want to see where they're going with this. But yeah, I mean, child torture is not off the table for her. So
Yeah. I mean,
Child torture, yeah.
if you're going to draw the line somewhere, that's a pretty defensible place.
yeah,
I kind of did and didn't like. I mean, I knew it was coming. I knew that we were going to get some kind of drop about Riva's very obviously miserable past, and
Yeah.
that we would at some point be confronting the fact that she's had an unideal upbringing. But I feel like the way that they've introduced it here doesn't really work for me. I figure we're probably going to get more at some point. But like she kind of mentioned like, oh, I had a droid and yeah, my childhood sucked. And I was like, okay, we know, but you're like torturing a child. Like this
Yeah.
is not
Right.
this is not generated pathos. Like, if that's
Yeah.
what they were going for, it did not work for me. But like again, obviously there are more episodes, so we'll see where they go with it. But like I kind of knew it was coming, but it felt very lackluster when it actually like when she started talking
Yeah.
about it. I was like, oh, here we go. We're gonna learn something about Riva. And then we kind of didn't, aside from the fact that she understands the attachment that Leia has to Lola and used it to put a tracker in Lola. But I don't know. Maybe we aren't. Maybe there's no like pathos coming. Maybe she's just straight up evil.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
I've been trying to think of her lines as stuff that she, like, things that she says against the Jedi are things that she experienced, and that's why she has some resentment for it. Like, oh, he's not coming. Oh, your master is dead. Like these sort of things. So I'm reading those lines as direct peeks into her problem.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out why Riva doesn't work for me, but Trilla did. Because they're very similar in a lot of ways, but so different in execution. Then again, like you're playing a game, so if you're playing, Jedi Fallen Order, and it takes very long to get through that game, and she only shows up a few times, but I felt really intrigued by her character by the end of it. So I'm really hoping they do something in the next 2 episodes that kind of makes it all feel like it was done this way for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think about other villains in Star Wars, and Star Wars actually, unlike Marvel, Star Wars doesn't so much have a villain problem. A lot of their villains people love so much that they want to be Sith. Like Darth Maul is
Yeah.
beloved. Even the female villains, I could say chalk this up to like people don't like female villains. No, like Ventress. I love Ventress.
Hmm.
This just I don't love to hate her. I just am hating her. I don't know if the writing is bad or like she's miscast or like I really don't know. Or maybe we just haven't spent enough time with her, you know?
Yeah, I think it's the latter, or at least for me, the bits that I don't enjoy as much about her. I think I'm kind of neutral on her, but she's very one note so far. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
she's ambitious and she's prepared to do anything she can to get this power that she feels she deserves. And I
Right.
feel like that was in episode 1 and 2, that was super compelling. I was like, this bitch is crazy. I'm here for it. Like,
Yeah.
she's like threatening people left, right, and center. But it was an interesting dynamic with her and I should know this by now. Is it the fourth brother? The brother.
The fifth
Brother. Thank you.
Yeah.
When they have numbers, I can't count.
Yeah.
But like, it was a really good dynamic, and I think that has worn in the last 2 episodes because they're not. It's that dynamic is kind of missing, and she's just kind of still the same, but it's we've seen that before, and it's not kind of gone anywhere. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if maybe in the next couple episodes we'll get. I feel like we need something else to kind of give her a bit of an arc.
Yeah.
I agree because right now she is feeling one dimensional, like, oh, the cackling villain who's stroking their cat and sitting in their little armchair, and I'm, she has that vibe of like a one dimensional kind of construction. I really hope that they do something, but in the last episode, by now, the fact that they're not giving us more is becoming a problem, and
Yeah.
I think Moses Ingram is doing the best job that she can with basically what's being given to her to do. They needed to sprinkle in some more by now.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like an acting problem to me because I believe her as a character. Like Moses' performance, I believe that this woman is ambitious, crazy, and willing to torture children.
Yeah.
It seems more like the moments that work for me are her relationship with Vader and the fact that she's extremely disposable to him, but I think she wants to prove herself to him, and that can be quite an interesting dynamic. And then her relationship with the fifth brother was like the first 2 episodes, I genuinely was like, this is a really interesting character. I can't wait to see where she goes.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping maybe in the next couple we'll get either one of those two put a little bit more to the forefront, and then we might get something more compelling out of her, because I do think there's the potential for very interesting things. And I think, like you were saying, Flowers, like Trilla hits that note, but I think it's partly because you have her old master on the ship with you. So you get her old master's point of view as to what happened to Trilla. And then you get Trilla's point of view as to what happened to Trilla. And then you get Vader making Trilla extremely disposable in a way that is horrifying.
Yeah.
And that's what makes her compelling, is kind of the relationships that she has and the relationships that you get kind of insight into. And I feel like we're not getting that enough for Reva, maybe.
I feel like if in the next episode, a way that can really help this or reverse it is if it starts with a flashback for Reva. Like, it gets right into the psyche of everything, I guess, to explain away, what her motivation is. And then she gets up and she, remembers Vader's warning and she's had to track this ship. And I think that would be really good. Like, if they can just start it with, they need to show us something, because they're not showing us anything. Then there is such a thing as playing your cards too close.
Yeah, I think that might be what's going on here. But so far, we got is this ambitious, extremely angry woman who is ready to torture a child. And she says things like, I had a droid once and it was taken from me. Like that kind of like, everything was taken from me vibe. And I get it. like if she was like in Order 66, she was that little girl, like that would be pretty traumatizing. And
Yeah.
yeah, they did take everything from you, but I don't know. It is still just too one note. There's nothing in there that's telling me that there's something else, really, honestly.
Yeah. I do hope we get proven wrong. Like, if by the end of this show they can turn this around, I will be very impressed and very pleased. But I
Yeah.
will still have
Yeah,
some notes to give to the team and be like, hey, here's how we could have paced this a little better.
definitely, because I'm just not enjoying even like watching. I wish I could fast forward her scenes, quite honestly, right now, which is contrasted.
Yeah, I will say I did enjoy when Tala came to her and she was like, I'm trying, like, they were having that conversation. She was trying to dupe Riva. I did enjoy that because Riva's like, I can't tell if you're just an
Mm-hmm.
extraordinary liar or what's going on here. Like, she couldn't figure it out, and I really enjoyed that. I think they made a good scene together.
Yeah.
I think there were moments in the Leia interrogation that I enjoyed. I wish that they hadn't, in some ways, gone to the explicit torture. I know that's probably necessary to, like, well, it made a cool visual when Obi-Wan broke in and all that kind of stuff. But I liked the
Yeah.
back and forth when she was trying to manipulate Leia. And, like, I would have been
Mm-hmm.
much more interested in a scene that drew more on Reva's own background as a way of her trying to gain a connection and empathy with Leia, and then Leia continuing to outplay her. Like, I thought the
Mm-hmm.
dialogue at points in that scene was actually really, really interesting. And when she started talking about her past, I thought, oh, here we go. And then it kind of came to nothing. And that, for me, was quite frustrating. It almost feels like it's like coming up to the mark and then missing it at the last hurdle quite a lot with
Mm.
Reva and the way that they're
Yeah,
writing her.
definitely.
Yeah. But I wonder if she's also really undercut by the fact that, like, the Vader Obi-Wan antagonism is, like, the bigger picture.
Yeah, and she really hates Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And I mean, it would be nice to know why at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, I can take some guesses. Like, he's the one that told all of the Jedi out in the galaxy not to come back to the temple. And so
Yeah.
she felt stranded there, maybe?
He did come back. Like, didn't he?
He's
He was,
No,
he put the
he sent
beacon.
that
Yeah.
hollow out to.
but they were in the temple though, weren't they? Like, when once everything had already happened in Revenge of the Sith. Am I
Well, we
misremembering
don't.
this?
Well, no, we don't know where Reva was. So if Reva was one of the kids, then yeah, she would have been in the temple when it went down. But let's say Reva's like with her master, and she's a Padawan, and they're on planet buttfuck A, and it all goes down, and she has nowhere to go, and then Obi-Wan sends out the message that says, "Don't come back to the temple," and then that would leave you with nowhere to go. Because I think the pieces of information that we have is that she was in the gutter, which is what the Inquisitor
Mm-hmm.
says to her. So she comes from like a less, it sounds like it's like a class thing, like she's from a less prestigious background than the other Inquisitors, which I still don't really understand. Which to me, I initially read as she's not a Jedi Padawan. She was a Force sensitive who was picked up afterwards. And then I can see a distinction between former Jedi Padawan who were raised to be Inquisitors versus random Force sensitives who were raised to be Inquisitors. And then we know that she had a droid, but it seems like we should know maybe a little bit more about her now. Like you said, Annie, like why does she hate Obi-Wan? And my other question is, she talks about this power that she's entitled to, that this rank is hers. Why does she feel so entitled to it? Like, what happened there?
Yeah, there's a sense of entitlement there that is very off-putting for me, honestly, without any explanations,
Yeah,
you know?
I feel like by now, like I want to know like what's driving her. Why is she? Or is she just like?
I don't want just empty words at this point. I want to see why she is saying these things.
Exactly. And hashtag justice for Lola, as far as I'm concerned. Like, I love robots, okay? I love the droids in the Star Wars galaxy. I have a special place in my heart for them. Like, Chopper might be my favorite droid, actually. The poor little Lola has just gone through the ringer.
Mm-hmm.
She was stepped on, like broken, and then she's gotten the worst throughout this whole series. I hope she, there was an episode of Rebels where they tried to turn Chopper evil, yeah? And
Yeah.
People figured it out. That was so
yeah.
funny. They figured it out because he was nice.
Yeah, exactly, because Chopper was too nice.
Such a good episode.
I hope that they figure it out in some cool way instead of, because on Rebels, that was that was like the way to subvert expectations, quite
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
So I hope that they do it in a cool way for this
Yeah.
one, because I really hope that little droid turns that is okay in the end, you know.
Yes.
Chopper saying please and thank you. Maybe Lola can have something similar, like screw you.
Yeah.
Yeah, like she's got the red going on. I don't,
Yeah.
you know, I
She
don't.
starts biting people.
Yeah, getting a little bit more aggressive maybe with what she needs to do.
Yeah.
I think also now these are like gonna like go into nitpicks probably for me after like Riva. She's really the only thing that super bothered me. The episode being really short kind of bothered me, but the that little enclave that they had, the Underground Railroad for Jedi,
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't care so much about them, I suppose. Like when we mentioned Wayne earlier, like everybody was so sad when he died. I felt like I was supposed to be sadder, but I was just like, I didn't know this guy very well. And then like I was disappointed that O'Shea Jackson didn't turn out to be Quinlan Voss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's fine. That's just because of me, like my prediction not coming true. But he was also like, I just thought that his character was just so weird. Like, because as soon as Obi-Wan got out of the tank, he was like, I need you to help me. And O'Shea Jackson was like, he's like, that's not my problem. And then 2 seconds later, he was like, you want my help? You got it. So it's
Yeah.
like, what?
It felt jarring.
Not only jarring,
Right.
but like they run an underground railroad for Jedi, so like surely he's familiar with Jedi arriving.
Yeah. That
Like-
that confused me.
Yeah, he's like, oh
Yeah.
shit, we've got a Jedi here. It's like, isn't that the point?
Yeah.
I guess maybe they thought Obi-Wan was too high profile, but
It shouldn't matter. Like, I was confused about that. I feel like the
Yeah.
writing for O'Shea Jackson's character was a little rushed.
well, it was kind of nothing, and it had the moment where Obi-Wan was like, you don't know what the Empire is capable of, and he was like, actually, my dead fridge wife knows what the Empire is capable of.
Yeah.
And like, I'm hoping, well, I don't know. I wasn't interested in that group of characters simply because we just didn't get a lot of time with them and there wasn't anything particularly meaningful that happened there. It was clearly a stepping stone for the rest of the plot of the episode. If we go back, I hope that we get more of a sense of who they are, maybe see some Jedi there. It's a bit weird that there are no Jedi in the place where they send Jedi to be safe.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Show some Jedi, you cowards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not dead ones in boxes, please. I'm also, I'm nitpicking here. It's not really a nitpick, it's a complaint, I guess. But I wanted to see Luminara in the dead boxes. It would have been a really nice little Easter egg for Rebels, and I'm kind of sad we didn't get to see her. And she's like got such an iconic, like even just a silhouette, like she'd be a really good background, like, oh shit, it's Luminara.
It's a missed opportunity. Why didn't they do it? Like, we know
Yeah.
that she shows up in Rebels,
We
and
do.
this takes place, what is it, 5 years before Rebels?
It
So
would spoil the Rebels episode, I suppose, for people watching in chronological order. But also, she's my girl.
she's, yeah. I mean, come on.
I think they might have her somewhere else.
I hope so.
I think that's why, like, that scene was more confusing to me. I was like, are you guys Jedi? Because for the audience, we have to be able to recognize some of them. And frankly,
Yeah.
it was when I saw the youngling that I was like, okay, so these are dead Jedi.
Yeah.
I think that they're Force sensitives.
Yeah.
They might not be Jedi. I think they're just Force sensitives, because this is going to lead into my next thing that I'm not liking. And this is like for the whole world as a whole, as they're doubling down on this, somehow Palpatine returned. You're preserving them for the midi-chlorians to experiment on. That's how I thought it. Yeah.
I was worried that there was going to be clones in there, like cloned Inquisitors.
I like how we're all like traumatized by the idea of clones now. We're like, no more clones.
I know. I don't want the somehow Palpatine returned.
Yeah.
It's inevitable because it's canon, but that doesn't mean I like it. I don't like things that try to make that better.
I'm wondering, Annie, you might know this. Both of you might know this. Because there's that comic where Vader recreates Padme, isn't there?
Yes.
And I was wondering if they were borrowing from that, if this has anything to do, because I have not read it. All I know is that he tries to bring Padme back and it does not go well.
I read that comic a long time ago. I don't remember it being a recreation. It was him trying to get to her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she didn't recognize him. She didn't want anything to do with him.
That's fair.
There was like a whole big metaphor on the lengths that he was willing to go to get to
Yeah.
her is what destroyed him in the second time. And she's like, look what you did again.
Yeah. Okay, never mind.
Great comic, by the way. You should read that one.
I should
It is.
read
It's great. But
Yeah.
but in the recent Vader comics, the ones that are they're more the most recent ones is the somehow Palpatine return story that they're
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
that they're
Oh
doing.
yeah, doesn't he go to Exegol and he finds one of the Sith Lords
Yeah.
mask? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And that Ochi is a
Yeah.
huge character.
Yeah.
This is the one with the hut that's got like a 12 pack, right?
Yes, the
Yeah.
hut with abs.
Yeah. I could do without that.
Nobody needed it, thanks.
No.
Excuse you guys, that's my fitness goals.
God.
Yeah, it hadn't even occurred to me that they were holding them for midi-chlorian research, Annie. That makes so much more sense, because I was like, are they all going to do the same thing they did with Luminara? Are these all like individual beacons for Jedi, and they just have them like send out transmissions and be like, I'm alive, and then just trap people?
They'd have to have been planning that for a while, because they're not, I mean, they pulled these bodies out the day of.
Yeah.
That's disturbing.
It is very weird. I'm wondering whether they're going to come back or whether this is just like going to be a dropped plotline.
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like when I don't know. They showed something sort of similar in the Bad Batch, so I don't know what the plan is.
Yeah, in The Mandalorian.
And in The Mandalorian, yeah. I don't like it. I'm resistant.
Yeah, I mean, it's a part of the whole galaxy as a whole, the whole world.
Yeah.
Not really the show. It's a complaint for the show exactly, but just as I can see where they're going as a whole, and I don't know. I'm just like, I don't know why you guys keep doubling down on that, but I guess you feel like you made your bed and you're going to have to lay in it over and over again. I don't know.
Yeah.
They did have that They did have that, was it the Zillo Beast that they took away for, because it had some quality, right? Like, did that ever show up again? I don't think they ever used that. Maybe that'll come up somewhere too.
Yeah. But that was really dark, especially when they showed the kid.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm fine with things getting dark, you know. I really liked this Stranger Things season, and it was super dark.
Yeah.
But I'm also getting a little annoyed with nods to certain things, certain characters like Quinlan or Jedi Fallen Order, and I'm just like, stop with the nods, and just if you're gonna show something, show it. If not, then just let it go. You know.
In their defense, the Jedi Fallen Order nod here was just the Fortress Inquisitorius. Like, that's just a play-by-play of what was in the game.
Yeah, well, I mean, specifically with the window caving in.
With
and
the window
flooding,
breaking,
and,
yeah.
It was very evocative of the end of Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
Which I don't mind that as a visual callback, but I am kind of with Annie.
Have some follow-through.
It's lip service, and then we don't necessarily get the actual enjoyment of seeing these characters interact, or like a reunion between Quinlan Vos and Obi-Wan would be quite a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a bunch of cock teasers. Sorry for my language.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, because I want to see a reunion. I want to see like, show me Cal Kestis or Marin or the crew that was, you know, that they befriended. Show me something. Like, I don't tease me all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all of the time.
Yeah. I mean, there's like, it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? Because on the one hand, fundamentally what we want, I think, is a good story. So the good story might be that it actually doesn't make sense to have, say, Quinlan Vos show up. But it's not a good story to constantly drop things and be like, hey guys, did you remember it's Star Wars? Do you remember Star Wars? I watched Star Wars. Have you watched Star Wars? And like, that's kind of the effect you start getting when it's like constantly like name dropping or like Easter egging, kind of like, I mean, I think like the Book of Boba Fett was maybe a little bit worse for it, and also for guest stars showing up unexpectedly.
Bad Batch had a similar problem of people showing up that I didn't really need.
Like, you want it to be a good story, so like choose your name drops carefully and choose your guest appearances carefully in a way that services the story, and then that would be ideal. But I know what you mean, Annie. Yeah,
and then I know that there was somebody in the suspension that kind of looked like Quinlan, honestly, and that better not be Quinlan. That better not be him. You know, I hope he didn't go out like that.
He does. How does he go out? Because there is like it might be Legends now, but he did survive Order 66 in Legends, I think, and then he had a wife, girlfriend, something. a lady person. And I think they got together and he like helped Force sensitives for a long time. And I think he does die at some point. I can't remember how.
I don't remember. The only thing I'm remembering is the book that we read that I don't remember the name of anymore.
Oh, Dark Disciple.
Dark Disciple. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
only thing I remember that happens next with him.
Well, it's pre-order 66.
Yeah, it is pre-order.
Officially, he's an unknown. I had them all written down in here when we were talking about Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
For some reason, I like had all of the Jedi that were
Yeah.
known
I love
to
that you
survive.
have a book.
Order
I love
66. They
Yeah, because we played a game on who we wanted to show up.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. I remember because you put Mace Windu on the list, which was very optimistic.
Yeah, it was a bunch of Jedi that survived or they were unknown. I got it. And Quinlan is officially an unknown.
Yeah.
Like, is never confirmed or denied.
Okay.
Completely.
Well, he lives on in my heart, so.
Yeah. He does.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to the last segment that I personally am calling "Shut the Fuck Up." to quote the Grand Inquisitor, who I really hope is still alive somehow. That's a somehow I can get behind.
Yeah.
As Jedi, our compassion is like an itch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have the same, hatred for this property that so many seem to have and call themselves fans. I've seen people get on this show because the lightsabers are too glowy. And I'm like, are you serious? You're going to complain because the lightsabers glow too much?
Yeah.
They're like, it's too fan vid. And so that just made me think, like, you've watched too many fan vids. I don't know. You've built this up in your mind and nothing is going to live up to it. Nothing at all.
It's pretty disconcerting. I didn't realize how much it was getting until yesterday. And I kind of like poked around the internet and I was like, wow, I really didn't expect this. Because up until then, I think everyone was kind of in the boat that we are, where there are things that we're really liking, there are things that we're kind of unsure about. But so far, I feel pretty optimistic about it.
Yeah.
And I'm genuinely enjoying the things that we are getting. And to be so miserable about such minor details, man, that's a sad life that you're subjecting yourself to.
It's very sad. I just don't get it, like, why you want to be so critical like that. And I thought that the glowy lightsabers were cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like how the blue lit up like Obi-Wan's face in those scenes. I loved it. And
there's a saying of like, no one hates Star Wars as much as Star Wars fans, and it always feels very true, especially with things from the prequel era. I don't know, it's kind of bumming me out that people are just drowning this show with such micro criticisms that don't matter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's kind of two waves of it, and a lot of this stuff I really wonder, because I open my YouTube and there are a lot of Star Wars videos recommended for me. And I have noticed a trend that a lot of them seem to be critical of this show, although I haven't watched them, so I don't know what it is they're actually criticizing. But I have a kind of pet theory that like negativity probably gets more clicks. Like if you have like a little thumbnail that's like, I hate these lightsabers, people are like, oh my god, I need to know why. So I wonder if it's a bit of like self-feeding in fandom.
Yeah.
But the one that's almost more disturbing, and I guess like if you make your whole life Star Wars, which, goals, but like I wonder if like you kind of stop seeing the forest for the trees because you're just so like mired in it, and then become like, if your career is essentially creating content about Star Wars, like there's some really big Star Wars YouTubers that I think are farming for content with anything that they can drum up constantly, and I think when you're doing that,
I completely agree.
Yeah, you wind up with
There's one in particular that I won't name here that's saying that it's not as exciting as The Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, that's really easy for you to say, because The Mandalorian, anything that you see of him is going to be fresh and new.
Yes.
Because his character is still being written.
Yeah.
We don't know a ton about Din Djarin. So whatever we see, everybody's going to accept. Nobody's going to be like, Din would never do that. Or like,
Yeah.
I grew up with Din, so him being in like some listless old man is ruining my childhood, talk to me in 20 years when like we
Yeah.
have a Din Djarin Christmas special, and then people
Sorry.
will probably hate him.
But also, like, the field is super different, right? Like, The Mandalorian came out when there wasn't much Star Wars pop. There were the new films, which were
Yes.
divisive, to say the least. And then you had
Mhm.
this hit, and everyone went mental. And, like, The Mandalorian was, like, the big thing, the thing that brought everyone back. And it launched, I think, Disney Plus, or was one of the early shows.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, now, I mean, how many Star Wars shows have we had? And then there's Obi-Wan. Like, it's such a different field. It's a different time. And like you said, Annie, there's, like, this huge issue of, like, he's a character that's been established. And for some reason, whenever you have a character that's been established and they reappear in something and they are an older person, everyone goes insane and insists this is not the same man he used to be. And it's like, well, no.
Right.
Time has passed.
It's so funny. Are you the same person you were 20 years ago? Because
are you the main character in a show that's clearly about trauma?
Yeah.
Is the one that really gets me specifically with Obi-Wan, because like it's clear that the narrative is about how traumatized he is, and so that narrative would not function if he was exactly the same as he was in the middle of Attack of the Clones. Like, I also think it's probably worth pointing out that there's like this side of fandom, and then there's the really disturbing level of racism and other things that seem to be happening that's kind of falling under the same umbrella as, well, it's not falling under, but it's also like these large critiques, and like it's a bit like the critiques of the sequels and anything else that's in the property. Is like I have a lot more sympathy like for people who are just generating content in a way that I personally would not choose to generate content. And then there's the contingent of crazy people who are just being awful. And I don't like when the two get lumped together, or like you were saying, oh, you didn't like Obi-Wan, so you must be like, you must hate Moses Ingram, or like that, like two different groups of people. One of them real bad, the other one I don't agree with.
Yes, definitely. The hateful side of it, I don't know what series of movies or TV shows they think they're watching.
Yeah.
If you want to be a racist scumbag, you're in the wrong universe.
Yeah.
It's such a diverse world, and if you want to be like racist and misogynist, you're part of the Empire.
Yeah.
It's well established. It's a progressive concept.
Yes.
Even in the 1970s, you had women senators, and there wasn't anybody like walking around going, oh wow, a woman senator. No, they just existed.
Mm-hmm.
This is just a world where things exist. Like I don't know if they realize what they're watching.
Yeah.
Racism does not belong here.
I feel like saying, surprise, we've been here this whole time.
Yeah. It's very weird to watch because there's a very similar thing happening in the Star Trek fandom at the moment. And Star Trek even more than Star Wars. I mean, the thesis of Star Trek is infinite diversity and infinite combinations. Like Gene Roddenberry was like, what if we took a bunch of multiracial people and we put them on a starship? The one from the 60s was clearly from the 60s. There are some issues, but like Star Trek has always aimed to be an explicitly progressive and explicitly left-wing show. And one of the things that I've noticed nowadays when it comes to this kind of critique is the mere presence of women and people of color is now considered woke or social justice or a statement in a way that I don't think it used to be. I mean, I was not old enough at the time the prequels came out to know whether there was backlash against, say, Mace Windu being on the Jedi Council as that being like a representation issue, and that being like George Lucas saying that, that he's making a woke statement about Black people. But nowadays it is like merely the existence of Moses Ingram in this show is like, oh, we're pandering to the social justice agenda. And I think there has been like a shift where now it's like the bar is set so low, or people have become so intolerant, or something has happened to the point where it's like, you don't need to say anything. You don't need to make any points. You don't need to address any social issues. You just put a woman or a Black person or any other person of color on the screen, and someone will write a screed on YouTube about how Star Wars has been lost because it's woke now. And I think that's one of the weirdest and most disturbing bits of this new generation of racists.
Yeah, it's really strange. I wonder sometimes if they understand what they saw before and what they're seeing now, because Star Wars in 1977 had a Darth Vader that was voiced by James Earl Jones, and it was not a secret.
Mm.
So, like, I mean, I wasn't alive in 1977, but
Right.
like, this guy is clearly, Darth Vader is like their godfather in so many ways for all these people, and that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter about Lando Calrissian, but now it's a political statement in a way that you can't just exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Return of the Jedi, Lando Calrissian blew up the Death Star with somebody he didn't understand, like the language barrier.
Yeah.
They did it together. Is that too woke? Is that too woke for you?
Yeah.
If Riva is a political statement, I'm really curious what it is. Like, there's
Yeah.
nothing. She's just a character. She's
Yeah.
a character on screen going through her arc.
And just, I mean, the same with Tala and the same with the fifth brother and so on and so forth. It's a very weird shifting of the metric of what is, like, what people are prepared to criticize. You know what I mean? Like, I think if people had felt that way during the prequels, and if people had felt that way during the originals coming out, there would have been the same kind of complaints about the mere existence of Mace Windu and so on and so forth. And now it's set to a point, and it's, the actress is receiving horrific abuse, and people are claiming that it's like, ruining the property, and something very bad has happened.
It's so fun. It's so strange. Star Wars will be better if it was just white people.
Yeah, that's what I'm just like, is that what you want? You just want a bunch of white people and like no women, but just white men? That's all you want?
People are also like finding creative ways to criticize Leia's character in this, that, and it's what it really boils down to is you have the main character arc going through Leia, and we wanted Luke, and now it doesn't matter that Leia is space mom, doesn't matter that everyone up until now was cool with Leia.
Yeah.
Everyone had all those wet dream fantasies about her in the middle bikini in Return of the Jedi. But right now, this is a statement, and I don't want your disgusting feminism in my Star Wars.
Yeah, and it's the idea that the mere existence of women is feminism, and therefore is especially also the way Kathleen Kennedy has talked about, that it's not just feminism, but it's Kathleen Kennedy has specifically put women on my screen to promote a feminist agenda, because I think she had the Force is Female t-shirt once. And it's like, that if that worked, I would not have to go to as many protests as I do. Like, if feminism could accomplish things by having women just put on a screen, I would be so better off.
We wouldn't have anything to complain about.
Much shorter fight for women's rights.
But like, there's a story behind how Leia got to be Leia in A New Hope, and she deserves to have that story told.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's not like the horrible feminists shoving their agenda down your throat. It's just a story about a girl. It's that's been around since 1977.
Yeah. It is really unfortunate that, like, this kind of commentary seems to be significantly on the rise in general for all properties. I mean, as I said, I see it quite a lot in Star Trek, and in this, and in many, many other, in basically any film that comes out now has a legion of people who do this. Marvel certainly has its fair share of people who went nuts when the Captain Marvel movie dropped. And then it's tied to these algorithms, the way that people on YouTube, I do think are like, or the way people promote themselves, get more clicks, get more interaction if they're really negative about things. And it just creates this kind of fan culture of negativity in an extreme and a dangerous way, but then also at a kind of a low level nitpick, like, we're never really happy kind of way. And you just get this environment that becomes very overwhelmingly negative at times. And I don't remember it always being like that before, back in the good old LiveJournal days and cons and, back when I was a kid.
It's frustrating to hear a response to this, to the negativity, be like, what, we're not allowed to be critical, we can't have criticism. And you can absolutely be critical, and you can absolutely do criticism. What you can't do is be abusive
Yes.
to the actual real life people who are in these properties, who
Yes.
are doing their job, who are simply walking while a woman. Like it's very bizarre that and it's also willfully ignorant. It's on purpose that they're making this thing like, oh, we can't be critical now. Of course we can be critical.
Mm-hmm.
We just spent the last hour being critical of things and
Mm-hmm.
parceling what things we enjoyed. It's about how you do it. I can't believe I have to, in this year, explain this to you.
Well, if they're not smart enough to understand that, then no, they can't be critical.
I mean,
I'm just
yeah.
saying, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to listen to you anymore. Like,
Yeah.
Seriously.
Well, and I think all of us are fans of criticism. I think the sort of people who wind up creating a podcast are people who like talking through media and thinking critically about what is put on the screen in front of them. And this podcast has at times been extremely critical of Star Wars. But there is a marked difference between bashing or trashing or any of that kind of stuff and like critical thought, constructive criticism, and critical discussion. And I love the latter. I eat the latter for breakfast. I'm one of the people who clicks on the videos. I'm ruining the algorithm. Like I love it when people have interesting and critical things to say about the media that they consume.
Yeah, I agree, definitely.
Yeah, but I love criticism most when it comes from a place of love, because to be honest, if I watch something and I don't like it, I can't be bothered to pick it apart to the same level that I'm prepared to do with Star Wars. I get the impression that the people who are crossing the line from criticism into hatred, especially where it involves hatred targeting the actors and targeting the people who work on it, and that includes people who were horrible about the prequels when they came out and contacted people like Jake Lloyd and Ahmed Best, is that's not being critical of the film anymore. That's just being hateful.
Yeah, I'm fine listening to people talk about how they loved The Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about it, like, so that I learn more,
Mm-hmm.
Reasonable minds can differ, but people who go and attack a child to the point where he quits acting, that's not a reasonable mind. That's a you need to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Learn how to be a human being.
Yeah. And there's like a unifying understanding, I hope, between people who liked the prequels and people who like the sequels, because some people who criticize those films are so bad at watching films. There's like a unified contingent of people who hated these films for reasons that are stupid. And I feel like sometimes I see people who like have very different opinions, like people who loved The Rise of Skywalker. I did not love The Rise of Skywalker. But some of the criticisms leveled at The Rise of Skywalker are so stupid that I have to like look at them across the room and nod and be like, yeah, I did see that. That was some dumb shit. And I feel like I get the nod back when it's people who are like, The Phantom Menace was just too political and I don't understand taxes. And they're like, yeah, I see you, bro. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
The Phantom Menace was bad because Vader was a child once.
Oh my god. Yeah. I'm also like, why, if someone is just enjoying something, it is actually okay to let them enjoy it.
Yep.
You don't have to correct them and say, this is why it sucks. And if you like it, you're an idiot.
Yeah, you don't have to ruin their party,
Yeah, like, I have plenty of people in my life who really love the sequels, and right on. Like, I'm so happy that meant something to them.
Yeah.
That's all. You just literally shut your mouth, and you don't have to say anything.
I mean, I will bring out my PowerPoint presentation on why Luke Skywalker is amazing and why you're wrong. But I'm glad you like the sequels.
Yeah. Some people didn't learn to shut up.
Yeah, but I think it's important. I mean, I guess I always think it's important to criticize the media that you're watching.
Of course, yeah.
But I equally think it's important to criticize the culture in which you're celebrating the media. So I think turning the glass back on fandom sometimes and being a little bit critical about what's happening in our own spaces is really healthy.
Absolutely.
And that doesn't mean pointing fingers specifically at individual people, but there is a very obvious trend that has shifted towards kind of negativity and nitpicking about this show. And I think that it's an important thing to bring up, to kind of ask why and what is it about the show that's actually unsatisfying. And I'm tempted to give some of them a listen and see what I think of the points that they're making, but I have yet to stumble across anything that convinces me as an argument about why the show isn't good so far.
Yeah, I haven't really. I mean, I think one of the main ones was that, Obi-Wan was too much like Luke in Return of the Jedi. I don't know if they still have PTSD over that, they'll never get over it. They think that like Obi-Wan's gonna get ruined, but I'm like, no, obviously he turns into the guy that smokes ball in one move in Rebels,
Yeah.
like obviously
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
gonna be fine.
Yeah.
He's
I don't
fine.
know. He's not manly enough for them. He's a coward. And that stuff, I'm just like, I don't.
I'm a little bit disturbed by that language because it's like if this was somebody, if you take him out of Star Wars and let's say this is like your next door neighbor who has like a lot of PTSD and is trying to go through something to try to get better, or if it's somebody in your life, you would never actually say that sort of thing. This is clearly like you said, Sig, a story about a man who has severely traumatized by the loss of his people, and very clearly we're seeing him come out of that and learn to not just like move on, but forgive himself and to let go of his guilt and start living his life again. And that's what you're mad about.
Yeah, it's a good point about language. And Artor on YouTube, who does fantastic Star Wars essays, did one on The Bad Batch, which I recommend. The Bad Batch was not my favorite show, but I really enjoyed his kind of analysis on it. And one of the threads that he kind of pulled out was talking about how much appeal the Bad Batch has had for war veterans because of the way that they handle the clones. And I do wonder if there's a bit of that same phenomenon that might apply to the Obi-Wan show, and if veterans do see something of themselves in Obi-Wan and the way that he's coping with the trauma that he's endured. In which case, yeah, a lot of the kind of, especially the language around cowardice and that kind of stuff would become very uncomfortable. And it kind of betrays like a much larger lack of understanding on society's part about the way people respond to trauma. But I mean, that's a much bigger question. But yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, it's been kind of bothering me because I think there are people that I know that have been saying this kind of sentiment, like, I mean, at this point, you just deserve it, Obi-Wan, because you're acting like a coward and you need to do better. And it just feels, given the context, that the context is genocide and the context is him having to hide his identity and hide for 10 years and literal visceral trauma surrounding this. I just find it so cold. And these are from people that I know better. Like, these are people that I know are very kind people to people who are struggling. So it's disconcerting. And I feel like you don't realize what you're saying when you're saying these things because you're frustrated because you want to see the plot go a certain way. And
they want to see their cool Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
That, he does his lightsaber move so fast that they actually have to slow it down. Like in post, but that's not where he is at this point in his life.
Yeah.
It wouldn't ring true if they did all of that, especially like right off the bat. It floors me, really. I think that they've projected their own image onto him for so long, years and years, some decades.
Yes.
I think that anything that they put out isn't gonna be good enough.
Yeah.
I think that people should realize that, be like, no one can live up to these expectations.
Yeah.
Not even Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah,
and he's experiencing that in real time, where people are expecting something from him, and he's like, I'm not that person anymore, and I'm gonna disappoint you.
It's very interesting that it's explicitly addressed in the show, and yet remains a critique from fans. Like, it's the fans are saying and treating him the exact same way that he's treated in the show, and the show has addressed this head on, where Obi-Wan repeatedly has been like, no, I can't give you what you're expecting. And then we have fan responses that are like, why didn't you give me what I was expecting? It's like the answer is in the show. There's also been an interesting recasting of the Jedi, metaphorically, that's been kind of developing. I really noticed it when What's-His-Face from the Jedi Underground was talking about his dead wife, and he was like, I knew what she was when I married her, but I married her anyway. And I guess the context of like genocide and then this secret, like, that kind of language has kind of recast the Jedi in my mind as like a metaphor.
Yeah.
It's very like X-Men kind of language. I mean, the X-Men were always a stand-in for minoritized group. I mean, I think gay people in particular.
Yeah.
But like the Jedi are sort of taking on that kind of edge as well, which gives a little bit more dimension to Obi-Wan's character as a person who's a piece of himself is forever now in hiding.
Yeah.
And is now persecuted. Even if everything else hadn't happened, that alone would change his character quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Some of the other criticism that I've seen is like, you know, it's too clunky. Like we talked about the chase scene with Leia in the first episode. Like I know for this episode 4, people thought that Tala beating up the stormtroopers was too clunky. Like it was just like, I wish that, I don't understand why it's such a big deal. It's not going to make me not watch a show. Yes. Like, this is a child actress. What do you want? You know? Yeah. And then with Tala, stormtroopers are notoriously incapable of anything.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
I mean, also, like, watch Rebels. They're getting knocked out every 5 minutes because, like, honestly, they can never be bothered to keep the same stormtrooper uniform to hand. So they always have to knock a dude out and steal his clothes. Like, this is very on brand.
No, yeah. I like you said, Rebels. If you've seen that, you've seen it all.
Also, like, why is that the thing that bothered you and not the fact that she was sitting right next to a dude and was, like, whispering into her microphone instructions to Obi-Wan and the guy next to her wasn't like, who are you talking to?
I know. I wondered that, too. He did look at her once, like, questioningly, and I'm like, girl, you gotta whisper, like, better or
but even
be
like,
less conspicuous.
It's gonna be weird no matter what. Imagine if you turned up to work and you were like, oh, they've got a lot of droids in the basement. I'm gonna open the doors now. And you're, like, just talking to your, like, microphone by yourself. Like,
I know. She's like, what do they have down there?
Yeah. Like, girl, use text messages.
I know.
Yeah, I think that this is the way to have criticism, is to like make fun of it, kind of, you know, like
they need galactic earpieces because, like,
yes, that too.
The text to speech thing, like, they're on a struggle bus right now with the. But I guess in the Empire, the technology is not exactly advancing, is it?
Well, no, and it's fun and it's campy, and like the stormtroopers, I think that was a very Star Wars kind of scene. Like, I don't actually have a fundamental problem with it, but I don't mind, like, you know, there's stuff to pull out. Nothing is perfect. It's just, I guess are you doing it with goodwill?
Yeah. These are, I guess, those moments you should suspend your disbelief a little bit.
Maybe. And, you know, like, some things are going to bother other people more than others, but...
True, yeah.
But anyone who's taking pot shots at Leia, like, Vivian's actress, like, she's 9, man, and she has done some really good work.
Yeah.
I will fight you.
She's done a lot more in her life than most of these people that complain about her will do in their entire lives,
like,
so...
At 9, like... I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
What was I doing at 9? Watching Star Wars, I think. That's about it.
You know, every once in a while, and it's becoming too often, instances of reminding me why George Lucas probably sold the thing in the first place. Like, he's just like over it. He's talked about before about how I remember some quote he said, he's like, they hate it. They always hate it. Like, they hate it before they see it.
Yeah.
So it takes all of the fun out of it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what people are doing with this show. And, you know, you're well within your rights to not like it for reasons that don't have to do with you saying that it's part of the woke agenda. Like, if you say anything about a woke agenda, I'm not going to listen to that.
Yeah.
No.
I mean,
I hear woke agenda and then, like, trumpets erupt in my head, and I just kind of look away, and I can't even listen to it.
Right. I'm just like, you're just parroting somebody that you're not even having thoughts of your own, honestly.
No.
Oh.
So let's think of some good things to say about what we want to see next week. I want to see the Grand Inquisitor come back. I miss him.
Yeah. Give him back to us. He shouldn't be dead, man. I'd like to see him. I want to see more little fond moments between Obi-Wan and Leia. I really loved the hand-holding scene. It was so tender and just so kind, and they both needed each other, and she reached out first, and she's melting his old man heart.
Yeah, it was a gorgeous scene.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really surprised that we haven't had any Aunt Beru.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be next episode, but there's only 2 more, isn't there? So I would like some Aunt Beru at some point in the next 2 episodes. I would like them to develop Reva into something. And I'm really excited for the moment Leia gets to go home to her parents, who are excellent. And I'm going to cry.
Yeah, they must be having a little breakdown
Yeah.
because the last thing they heard was that she's coming back, and it's been
And
a
then,
while.
no. Oh, sorry. She's at Vader's castle. Don't worry,
Right?
now. We're gonna go get her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot of threads to tie up in 2 episodes.
Mm-hmm. I want to see a real flashback. I want to see one with Hayden as Anakin, and that one little vision's not enough for me. I need more. I feel like Anakin.
Yeah, that was a
Revenge of the Sith.
tiny little vision.
I want more. I shouldn't.
Yeah, that would be nice. More Vader, definitely, or more Anakin.
If we get surprised by like a Natalie Portman flashback,
She can't, because she's so hench right now. Do you imagine stuffing her in one of Padme's outfits? Her arms are like the size of my head. Like,
put her in a robe. Those luxurious Nabooian robes that she had.
Yeah, I just want a scene of her like arm wrestling Anakin. I'm going very off topic now.
No, I mean, you want to see it?
I do want to see it.
He's such a loser, though. He'd be like, I wouldn't dream of arm wrestling you, milady. Oh, it's not going to happen.
And then she'd wipe the floor with him.
Yeah, I hope we're getting Qui-Gon soon.
Yes! God, I'd almost forgotten about Qui-Gon. We're definitely getting Qui-Gon. That's the hill I'm dying on. If it doesn't happen, I'm making a fan edit video where I take like clips of Liam Neeson's voice and I splice them together like Frankenstein, and then I make my own version where he has a conversation with Obi-Wan. Live your dreams. My email. Be the change you want to see in the world.
Definitely something Qui-Gon would say.
This is a little off topic, but I don't know why we get like those AARP magazines in the mail, and apparently they did an interview with Liam Neeson recently. Like the interviewer was like, "Hey, when I was like 20, you advised me on my then boyfriend and told me like he doesn't respect me and you should probably leave."
He's a very intense man.
He is insightful about some things.
Yeah, Qui-Gon watched 2022.
Qui-Gon watched.
Yeah. Thoughts and prayers, guys.
Candles, light some candles for this.
10,000 candles in the wind.
Yeah, I need for them to do something with all of these little hints that they keep giving.
Yes.
Yeah. Let it go somewhere, please. Just please.
Yeah. I mean, nobody trusts you as it is, so Star Wars. I love you. I hate you. I love you.
I do love this place, but the pain it gives me.
Yeah, the Disney giveth and the Disney taketh away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, like, people, like, get on Disney, they're like, oh, Disney's ruined Star Wars. I'm like, you'd say the same thing if George Lucas still owned it, so shut up, you know?
Yeah, he said that about George.
Exactly. They vilified George. Yeah. So I'm just like, what about this world did you actually like? Did you just like one movie, Empire Strikes Back, and then everything else you complain about?
They liked when the blasters went pew pew.
I really think some people should like actually ask themselves if they are fans. And if they don't like it so much, just move on, man. You know?
Yeah. We talked about how if something is filling you with this much rage, you should maybe evaluate why and take a step back.
Yeah, there's lots of other fandoms out there. You know, go join a dead one. Go join Game of Thrones. Just get out of Star Wars.
Yeah, please do not come to Star Trek. Thank you. We're full.
Yeah, and Marvel is also full.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a lot of sympathy with your frustration, Annie, and I share it. But I do think it's been a tough week, I think, just looking at people's reactions.
Yeah.
And there are many very, very cool people with lots of interesting things to say who are quite positive. Like us!
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also want to say something on that. We should also remember that the internet is just a microcosm of like the feedback we're seeing, because everyone in my life, anyone that I've talked about it, like this is a pretty enjoyable like show. It's an enjoyable franchise. Like I was talking to my one of my friends about this. She was like, I know that you're feeling this way, and I know you feel like people really hate the Jedi, but I promise you that that's probably just, you see a lot of the internet, but like my casual observance of like Star Wars is like definitely not like the Jedi were baby snatchers. Like there's a very clear message in the movies, and I definitely read up on that. And I feel like, because when you're in fandom spaces, you get stuck in a certain type of loop in there. So some perspective is also something I'm trying to keep in that. Yeah, the internet's pretty shitty, but not everyone is, and people who suck just need something else to do.
Yeah. And on that note, that people suck and they need something else to do.
You're welcome.
God, we've been so spicy.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe we could put on the thumbnail that, like, Obi-Wan worst show ever, and then people will click on it more.
Oh, we should totally A/B test with our YouTube channel, like which thumbnails with really negative thumbnails work. I'm gonna get out my vomit emojis and see whether we can get more clicks.
Can you add that's the one that says women in my Star Wars?
Yeah, I'll put like feminism gone mad, Obi-Wan is a wino, and then some vomit emojis, and then we'll see if our click rate improves.
Yeah, we can do a little psychological test here.
Yeah, I'm gonna A/B test it. I'll give me a year, and I'll come back to the podcast with results.
Awesome.
Stay
Brilliant.
tuned.
Yeah, so thanks for tuning in, guys, to the Kyber Collective. If you like what you heard, please give us a like, and if you've got something to say, drop us a comment below. Seriously, we really want to talk to us. Like,
we're nice.
And we love criticism.
Yeah,
it's great as long as it's like, not hate or whatever. We're cool. We like ideas and stuff. So comments and likes, both of these help make us easier to find for other fans, and are the best way you can support our work. If you'd like to keep up to date with our episodes, you can subscribe, and you can always talk to us on Twitter at Kyber Collective. We'll be back with another episode in about a week for Kenobi.
Yeah.
And until then, remember, the crystal is the heart of the blade. Until next time.